打我呀！别打一下了。哎呀，报警来。
Hey everyone! So I don't know where that video is from. I just thought that we'd start this one off with a bang. As you know, I've been living in Shenzhen, China for about almost 4 years now. I think I mention it in every single video I make. Sorry. And if you've been watching the news, you've probably seen that Shenzhen is now in a full citywide lockdown. Again. I'm gonna give you a run through about what's been happening here in Shenzhen through my experience. My friend Trey has a YouTube channel. His name is Trey's Travels. He's also made a YouTube video about his experience during this lockdown, so I'll add the link to his channel below in the description. Go check him out. All right, without further ado, let's get into 2022. That was so bad. 2022 has been a big ol' smack in the face of deja vu as to what happened 2 years ago in 2020. So at the end of January, as Chinese New Year started to approach, people started getting really nervous because Chinese New Year is the time where people can go home to their hometowns and finally see their families after a long year of working away. However, cases started to pop up in January 2022 all over China, and it made people really nervous because if people are going to travel to these COVID hotspots where their hometowns are and then come back at the end of Chinese New Year back to Shenzhen, they're going to assist in spreading the virus, and it's going to come down to Shenzhen where we've been fairly safe. And you know, it's exactly what happened. People came back from Chinese New Year and cases spiked. Big time. But instead of lockdowns, luckily, there were only a few restrictions, like no more door-to-door deliveries, and with most places you had to show your green QR code, which just shows that you're healthy. Then as time went on, it started to become, along with your green code, you also had to show that you had a COVID test within the past 48 hours. So we noticed a lot of free testing sites popping up here and there over the city.
That wasn't too bad.
It just slowly became the new norm. Anytime you wanted to enter somewhere, you had to show your green code and your 48-hour code, and you were good to go. Life moved on as normal until about the end of February. February 25th, on a Friday, I went to work. COVID was popping up in some places around Shenzhen, but it wasn't enough for people to really worry about it. As we're at work, we start getting notifications. COVID case here. Positive case just confirmed here. Then we started getting notifications that there were positive cases very close to our office. Luckily, it was the end of the day, so we left and we decided we'll get some dinner together. And it's empty, y'all. It was so empty, it was eerie. We were the only table in this super popular restaurant. Before we got there, my boss was like, we might not get a table. We were the only ones. And then we kept hearing about positive case here, and it felt like it was closing in on us and getting closer, and we all started to get really uncomfortable, so we went home. We decided, okay, we'll stock up on food, see what happens. When I get home, my security guards at my complex told me that I had to get a test immediately, and they were testing inside my complex. Nice, sweet, okay, easy. Then they told me I also had to get a test in the morning, and they set up a testing site right outside of my apartment complex. So before I could even enter, I had to get a test. All right, easy peasy, did it. The day moved on as usual. Sunday, February 27th. I get a notification from my complex that we have to have a 24-hour code now until further notice. Meaning I have to get tested every single day, and I have to time these tests just right, because if I get tested, let's say at 8 in the morning, that means the next day, past 8 in the morning, my code will turn to 48. You gotta time it right, y'all. So my Sunday was packed. I had a big day planned. I was gonna play tennis, then volleyball, then go out to dinner with friends. As I'm headed to the tennis courts, I notice they're putting up barricades behind my apartment, and they're blocking off this street. So I just think, oh God, what's about to happen? After that, my friends and I decide to go get tested. We stand in a line, and everybody in that line sees us foreigners. They're like, you know, because we're so scary. Yeah. So now we're off to volleyball, and as we're on our way, we notice that Seaworld, the hub of the expat community, the most popular area where I live, it's being barricaded. We're like, oh shit, what's about to happen? But the gym is still open, so we go to play volleyball. After volleyball, Chris, the owner of Lazy Lauai, messages me and he says,
hey, this might be our last rendezvous for a while, so come over, hang out.
So we do. We all go over there after volleyball. We're trying to order food, and we're noticing on the delivery app, a lot of these places that we're trying to order from are suddenly disappearing. They're closing. So the city is now telling restaurants they can no longer serve food. So now we're all worried. Then we're getting notifications that entire complexes are shutting down. What is going on? So then, of course, I get the notification, my complex is on lockdown. I contemplated just going up to Guangzhou or going somewhere else. But one, I don't have any clean clothes on me. I'm a sweaty mess. And two, Kuddo's at home. I have to go back. Here is my journey going back. Well, it has finally happened, y'all. Maybe. I'm walking home and I get a message from my community saying that we're going under lockdown. So the area that I live in, like all of the buildings surrounding mine are under lockdown. So I'm just walking to my jail sentence. The only reason I'm going back, I would stay, but there's not really anywhere to run. There's nowhere to There's nowhere to go. But Kuddo's at home, so can't leave her behind. So I'll walk into quarantine. This is nuts though, it's deserted. You're not seeing any cars, I'm seeing no people. Everyone's stocking up on stuff. Actually, I'm gonna run into the 7-Eleven and grab some stuff. I don't see anybody here. All right, so they didn't have much stuff in there. I'm panicked because they were starting to close, so I had to leave. But I just got some like noodles and mouthwash and floss. Yummy combo, I know. Oh, God. This is so fucking stupid. And like, there goes a bus on usually one of the busiest streets. Nobody's here and nobody's on the bus. Okay, just went to shop number 2 and I didn't have anything either. Yeah, my bag is so heavy. I went to the gym and I grabbed a dumbbell so I could at least use it at home. This is the one day I regret not taking my scooter, but there's lines outside of supermarkets, literally to buy groceries, y'all. Look at this. Hey, puppy. Hi. Jesus Christ. Oh, this is the line. I'm in my elevator now. I just ran back to my apartment and I threw everything down inside. So it looks like the stairs to my apartment are still open. So I got Kuddo and I'm really trying to like get out of here, but. Where's the kitty cat? Huh? Where's the kitty cat? Where's the kitty cat? Okay, it's like 2 in the morning. I'm finally leaving. I'm walking back. Look at this. They've blocked off stuff in the road. This is my last walk of freedom. I got some free tunes by this guy. Hell yeah. When I got home, my guards told me, if you enter, 3 days. You have 3 days trapped inside. I said, yeah, okay, fine, 3 days, it's okay. Don't believe them. Don't believe them. Y'all, when they say 3 days, it means 7. 7 days, it means 10. This place is messing with my trust issues. And lockdown number 1 begins. So the only rules really during lockdown were wear a mask, don't gather in big places, get a COVID test, don't leave. COVID tests were every morning between 9 and 12, and I quickly learned my lesson. Go there early. 你好。谢谢。The 3 days were fairly easy for me because I had a lot of work to do and I spent the rest of my time working out or playing with Kuddo.
Get away, little bug.
Don't you dare, Kuddo.
Go away.
It was good until.
So they said that this was all going to be over tomorrow, but now we're getting barriers being put up outside of my complex. So this is great.
Barriers started to go up everywhere. People weren't taking their daily COVID tests because, and I quote, they were too lazy. Because of this, we had healthcare workers and building management coming upstairs, pounding on people's doors, reminding them to go get a COVID test. They were even going through the stairwells with megaphones, reminding you to get a COVID test. March 1st, the day we're supposed to get out, everybody's like, ooh, okay. And then we're hit with a notification. Lockdown has been extended indefinitely. Now this word freaked everyone out, including the locals, because what is indefinitely? A few hours later, thankfully, they changed it to 4 more days. So here we go. And then we started hearing rumors about some things happening in Hong Kong. Now the situation in Hong Kong at the time, they were estimated to have about 35,000 positive cases per day. The COVID outbreak over in Hong Kong was out of control. Hospitals were full, there's no space for treatment, so people were quite literally swimming from Hong Kong to the mainland. Think of the level of desperation one might have to swim that distance. It's a 6-hour swim, y'all. People were being picked up by boats, and photos started to emerge and circulate all throughout social media here. Most of these people were picked up and caught. However, some of them made it and they went and they hid throughout the city. This is the rumor. There's no exact number on this. There's no record of this happening whatsoever other than these photos that have been taken down as well. So then there's rumors of people now parachuting into Da Peng Beach Town. They're scuba diving under the water to get over here. They're floating on suitcases over here. So the government installed these really bright spotlights, which you can see from my apartment building, along the bay and in the water to see the people who are coming over. So now this is all starting to make sense. It's not just about COVID, it's also about finding these people who entered mainland illegally and are spreading COVID. I have to mention, the entire city at this point wasn't in lockdown. It was just certain areas. And unfortunately, because we are on the water, we were one of those areas. So you could be at work, let's say one person in your entire building tested positive, the whole building is shut down.
真是人生无常，大肠包小肠。
And people who didn't comply with COVID were dealt with.
This 个人一定会被刑拘的，知道你们这起哄有意义吗？你他妈的！带走！带走！好吧，这种起哄的时候接着走，你们赶快往外面。这个是我。
And now this was the new norm. Now we're doing COVID tests rather than in batches of 10 like we were, which means in one vial, you have 10 people lined up and all 10 of your spit takes goes into this one vial. If one person in your vial tests positive, then everybody gets locked down wherever they are, gets tested again, and they find the people or person that tested positive. By now I've learned my lesson. I prefer to get there 30 minutes early, like right before they're even setting up, because I'd rather sit there, check my emails, than to be gathered with a ton of people when the rule of lockdown is to not gather and not be around people. However, when you're in a COVID line, you're gathered with every single person in your complex all in the same area, and you have some people doing the whole in line, which you know. And after each test you would get a sticker to prove the date in which you got your test and that you got it. And every morning they would walk around with that megaphone. And COVID tests aren't just for people. Some positives came out of lockdown though, because Kuddo got a lot of attention.
Good girl.
And I got to meet some of my neighbors that I probably wouldn't have met due to like our busy lifestyles and whatnot. So there were some good things to come out of it.
This is like day 7 or 8. I don't even know. Lost count at this point. I'm on my way to take another COVID test. We didn't get a sticker today, and I heard from the little birdie, aka little birdie being the guy in front of me in line, that somebody got released yesterday from a building, so fingers crossed.
So it turns out the stickers, we didn't get the stickers that day because the maker of them was caught on copyright infringement because they illegally used the Beijing Winter Olympics mascot Duen Duen, the panda. So they had to cut the supply. As the days kept going, Futian was getting bad. But Nanshan, where I live, was getting better. And finally, after 7 days, by March 6th, we were released at midnight. Everything was still shut though, so I didn't go out. I went to bed at like 10:30. When I woke up the next morning though, Kuddo was so confused. She was like, what, we can go down these stairs now? And freedom! Kind of.
Look, Kuddo! Fucking finally!
So we finally got to go outside. They were taking the barricades down. Everything seemed peachy. Until cases started to spike again. Restaurants went back to just delivery only. Seaworld was now barricaded. Instead of just that one part, it was all the way around that sucker. And there were only 2 entrances to get in which you had to show your QR code. It had to be green and you had to have a 24-hour COVID test. So lockdown number 2 was commencing. Not here yet, but it is a rumbling. We were encouraged to stock up on food, which caused a lot of people to start panic buying.
超市是正常供应，蔬菜2米是正常供应的。
We were still allowed out, but they recommended only if you absolutely had to. So instead of complexes being shut down, individual buildings were being locked in. So if one person tested positive or had a close contact, then the entire building was shut down with no notice. So Kuddo will not use the bathroom inside. She won't go on concrete, she will only go on grass. So even with the last lockdown, it was very difficult for me to get her to use the bathroom. We had to go to the vet afterwards because she had some blockage because she was holding it in for so long. So because of this, I thought my building gets shut, there's going to be bigger problems with her. So I made the tough decision to take her to a clinic where she could get walked 3 times a day, have the open space she needs in the case that my building got locked down. It was a really hard decision, and I miss her, but I know that she is much better there at the moment than she would be with me. So I put myself in a hotel because normally in these cases, hotels are the safer place to be, from my experience again. So yeah, we were back to it. Some complexes even went as far as to say, don't sleep together, don't eat together, do everything separately. No cuddling, no kissing, no hugging, nothing.
从今晚上开始，夫妻必须分床睡，分开吃饭，不允许亲嘴，不允许搂抱。希望大家遵守一点，坚持一点，谢谢配合。
To families in apartments, and everything was empty. So around Monday or Tuesday earlier this week, lockdown. Lockdown number 2! So I'm very fortunate to be where I am because I'm still able to go out and document everything. We were receiving all these notifications from the government, just one after the other after the other. Barbed wire started to be put on top of the barricades because there were people jumping over the barricades and escaping. And of course, the foreign fear was back. Complexes were giving out these stamp cards for people to fill out every single day that you got a COVID test. You had to get the date stamped. And at the end of the 20th, when this is supposed to end, you give it to your complex and that's it. I don't know. Nobody knows what's gonna happen next. We don't know. The assumption is you give this card and you get to go out, but no one knows. And the barricades went back up around the city. But luckily, I've been able to leave and document what's happening right now. Only really Meituan drivers are leaving. My hair's a mess. I'm just giving up at this point. But I'm about to try to go out now and see what happens.
Okay, so I got out. I'm going to my bike right now, but God, it's empty. Something about it, I'm just so nervous.
Complexes have been given their tenants passes. You get to leave once every 2 days for 1 hour, and that's it. If you have a medical emergency, you have to go apply for a pass to get out and go to the hospital to be seen. So it's pretty wild. Wednesday, March 16th, I got a notification that they were shutting down parts of Futian and all 9,000 residents of this one little village because of their poor sewage system, which they believed was spreading COVID. They were all being relocated to another area of Shenzhen so that they could sanitize and upgrade this sewage system. because this one area in Futian has not gotten better this entire time. It has always been a red zone. It has always been a COVID hotspot. So they finally took action, went in and relocated everyone. It's been wild, and I have definitely had my breaking points.
Okay, sorry I didn't post today a lot. I didn't leave my compound. I just stayed where I was because I just needed a day to collect myself. We're just, what, year 3 of doing this shit back and forth of like, today we're free, tomorrow, oop, unexpected lockdown. Y'all are shut down again without any notice. And it's really hard, like, being alone and doing it. So, whew, yeah, it's just like 3 years of this shit. It's a lot. So, yeah, I told myself I would just give myself the day, be vulnerable on here. I'll probably regret this in the morning. And yeah, I'll go out tomorrow and take some more videos. But today is my day for this.
I can't imagine how the workers feel. They're out there working tirelessly in all of these layers in the Shenzhen heat every single day for hours and hours. So we're all very grateful for these healthcare workers, and we're all very nice to them. So today they just announced that it is now illegal to miss a 24-hour COVID test when it is required. The punishment is 5 to 10 days in jail and between 200 to 1,000 UN fines. So here's a video of a guy who didn't get his COVID test within, I think it was over 10 or 12 days. So they came and knocked on his door and arrested him.
你现在是不是10几天没有做核酸了？
你别跟我说是我的个人的问题。不，我查过，没有这个部分是违法。有，不能违法。我在我家里危急公共，我在我家危急什么？我在家里我都没说过我危谁？或者是管控机，你有10几天没做核酸，每天都在敲门，10几天都在敲门。我晚上睡觉，我白天睡觉，晚上醒来有问题。一天24小时不可以在睡觉。对呀。
Today as well, they took away a lot of complexes, not all, but a lot of their stamp cards. So I don't know what that means. I have no idea. Will we get out on Monday? Who knows? I would say the scariest part of COVID right now in China is, as a pet owner, there are no regulations at the moment in China regarding your animal if you test positive for COVID. So a lot of these animals are being left behind with no one to take care of them, no one to feed them, nobody to look after them. And it is heartbreaking to see this happening all over the country. And luckily there have been volunteers who have opened up pet hotels that will take in your pet if you test positive and have to quarantine, because the hospitals, you can't bring your pets there. And a lot of the quarantine hotels won't allow you to bring your pets there either. With this, a lot of complexes have also sent out this document, which basically gives them permission to kill your animal if you test positive. Don't sign this paper. Yeah, it's really scary. There was a video and an article circulating about a married couple and their samoyed. They had a warehouse. The man tested positive and he was in the warehouse with his dog. The woman was elsewhere. They had 6 cameras in this warehouse for security, obviously. When these people in the hazmat suits came to take this man away, the woman said, "Hey, we need to get the dog. The dog is in the warehouse. Somebody please bring the dog back to me." It showed out of the 6 cameras, they had taken down 5 of the cameras, but they didn't find the 6th one, so they only thought that there was 5. And there was a video going around of them beating this dog to death. The woman didn't know the dog was dead. She was asking around and nobody was giving her any answers, and nobody told her up front that they had just killed her dog. So now all the articles are taken down from it and the video. I'd say that is the scariest part about the COVID situation here. It's not even the fear of getting COVID anymore, it's the fear of what happens if you get COVID. And that's China's zero-case policy. It worked very well in the beginning in containing it, but now as the entire world is moving on and we're still staying the same here, where's the end game? When does this stop? Because if this continues, it's not sustainable. This is my personal opinion. It's not sustainable at all, because you're just going to keep locking people up for the rest of time. It's tough. It's really tough. So anyways, I hope that this video was helpful in order to give you guys a perspective from like ground zero about what's been happening here in Shenzhen, and to give you a different perspective about than like what you're seeing on the news. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below and I will make another video answering them. All right, until next time, y'all, we'll see what happens. Will I get out on Monday? Will I not? Let's see. All right, see ya.